It's that time of the week again, Wild Angle episode 5. I want to say thanks for all the comments for last week, episode 4 with the wrens. You clearly really enjoyed that. You know, the sun is shining today, the birds are singing, I'm sitting by the river at the bottom of the garden, and it seems like everything is right in the world, but of course we know it's not, and we know it's another week on in lockdown. I want to say thank you to all of the medical staff throughout the world that are doing an amazing job for everyone here in the UK at NHS. Are just fantastic. I want to say thank you to all of you that have signed up to support the NHS Mask for Heroes webinar on Saturday, where hopefully we can raise about 750 quid to give to a worthy cause, which is buying the NHS, of course, the PPE that they need. And it's been brilliant to watch all of the campaigns going on out there to do that. It's fantastic. Everyone working for the common good of supporting a fantastic NHS. Now, this week I've got something slightly different for you. I thought I'd tell you a story, and it's not just any story. It's a story of one amazing tiger encounter that happened a couple of months ago when times were very, very different. You're going to learn a lot in this. There's a lot of photo hints and tips. If you're a tiger lover, there's a lot for you as well. So I just want to try this out and see if you like it. And I'll be back at the end to give you a bit of a competition. Do you love tigers? Well, you'd better love tigers, because that's what the next 20 minutes is going to be about. One great encounter I had with a young male called Jam. Now, you will learn a lot of things for your photography during this. I will make sure of it. Also, if you're just a tiger lover, you're going to learn a lot about tigers as well. I've got a bit of hay fever, so I might have a dry throat or a wet throat or teary eyes or anything. This is water, it's not gin or vodka. That's for later. So if I take it, just don't worry about it. Right, let's start here. At the bottom, this is 2 years ago, is the mother, Krishna, T19. She's given a T number by the Indian Forestry Department when she's 2 years old, and that's the unique identifier she's known by for her whole life. The rest of us can't remember the T numbers, and we come up with names. So Krishna is a good name there for her, and that's the name that's been adopted for, I don't know how long, but for, I think since she was literally a 2-year-old cub of Machli. So a very, very famous tiger there. On the right of her is Pi, who is Jam's brother. So he's a male and he's in the same territory, and we've got some stories about him too. On the left, just behind there, Krishna, is Jam, and he's staring out a little bit, and then behind is their big sister Shakti, and she's fantastic. She was independent at 18 months old, hunting for herself, found their own territory, got a lovely part of zone 4. So that's the family. Let's go and have a look at the way it is now. Wow, look at that. I'm gonna just have a drink. Hold on. That's Jam. When we first found Jam was sitting in the pool that you see there, behind a load of grass. We moved the vehicle as much as we could, but we couldn't see a lot through. The guys could stand up behind me so they could shoot over the top. I couldn't because of where I was in the front. So I had to shoot through the grass. Now, trying to shoot the autofocus is a little bit rubbish sometimes, because you just, no matter how fine a point you get on what system you use, you just can't get through the grass. And there's quite a lot in the way here. So what I did, I'm very lucky with the Olympus that when I shoot, I can actually click backwards and forwards here. So when I click back, it goes onto the manual focus setting. This is called a lens clutch, and it's very, very useful. So it's in auto now. Click back and I can shoot into manual when I'm looking through at stuff that's obscured. And I use it all the time to shoot through grass at something that's behind it. Okay. Now, it's difficult, you might say, to manually focus. And yeah, of course it is. We're not designed it. You know, manual focus is the focus of the 1960s when it was all great and we wear bandanas and and we did things we probably regretted quite a lot, although I was only about 1. So anyway, enough of that. So how do we ensure that our manual focus works? Well, we can use a little thing that they use in video called focus peaking. Focus peaking means, very simply, that it will show us in color when our subject is in focus. In fact, it will show us the whole range of focus according to the aperture that we have. So when you have the camera in manual focus and you're twisting the focus ring, you will see a color, in my case yellow, because I've set it, but you can have red if you like, go backwards and forwards across the frame to show how much is in focus. So you can focus through the grass and very, very easily focus on the tiger. Brilliant. So use focus peaking, and I'll do a little workshop on that as I'm able to get outside and do some stuff, because it's useful. So here I was in the water. I'm looking at my notes here. And I took water 300ml f4 at a 3200th of a second. Probably ISO 800. Why is that a 3200th? Because I didn't know the tiger wasn't going to jump and run and stuff. You've always got to be prepared for what a tiger or any wildlife, when you go out in the morning or evening or whenever, you always got to be prepared for action. Okay, so don't set your camera to ISO 100 when you go out. Set it at 800 minimum and start from there. So when the tiger got out of the water, it was great. All the water came down crashing. It's a little bit tight with the 300, but you know, it was nice. Almost got a direct eye contact. And actually, because I was able to focus through the grass, I got a very, very low angle, which was very nice. Now, he walked out immediately across this lovely area full of natural pools and stuff. And that reflection there, that annoys me a lot, right? Those rocks, I hate those rocks. More than I hate the Spurs defence. That's a lot. I hate those rocks. I hate those rocks, okay? And you know, I really hate them. And if any of you have got gelignite, gelignite is the old name for TNT. No, just love me some so I can next time get rid of those rocks, which I'll do with the cackle. In fact, I shouldn't say that because some of you probably do have gelignite. So no, forget that. No. The real picture here is the habitat, okay? I love the tiger the way it is. Paw forward to show motion. It's got lots of space, and I love the fact that everything's in focus in it. That's what I wanted. I want to show the tiger in the habitat. I want to make it look a bit more painting-esque than photographic. That's what I like my pictures to look like. The reflection annoys me, so that's why I shoot slightly wider. This was shot with a 12 to 100. f4 at a 12/50th of a second. So again, keeping the ISO up, even though I could have a much lower ISO, I want to keep the ISO up in case the tiger sees something and runs. You don't have time to change it. Someone wrote to me the other week, why don't you just take your ISO down, then take it up when you need it? You don't have time. You miss shots that way, and I'm not going to miss shots like that because a tiger doing anything other than walking slowly or sleeping is exceptional, I can tell you. So he's looking intently at one side of the river going across. Then, wow, we went slightly further along and he walked across this open area, came right at us. Look at those eyes, beautiful jam, amazing. Really piercing, leg forward again, slightly obscured in the front, which I actually like. Now, this is the 40 to 150, f4 at 1600. So again, a high ISO, high shutter speed, because I don't know what this tiger is going to do at any moment, okay? Likely nothing, but you never know. The light's coming from behind the tiger, so you can see the big wide eyes like that, which is absolutely great. You don't have to have vodka to do that. If the sun was on the front, everyone thinks, oh, I've got to shoot sun over my shoulder. The tigers walk like that, and I have deleted thousands of images of Krishna, his mother, who walks like that. It's really, really irritating. I don't know how they manage to walk and not walk into trees. That would be a good picture, but they do manage it. So yeah, the light being behind was quite good. I had to balance exposure and be careful. I brightened up the face a tiny bit on post-processing, but not a lot. Now, so this is I like this. I like a simple frame. It's a calendar image. It's got nice space to it. But on the computer, on the old computer, I cropped it, and I cropped it into portrait mode because as a commercial photographer, this will be very good for a cover of a magazine. I'm doing the action of having a banner head across the top and a barcode at the bottom and stuff like that. It has enough space around it. It'll be a very compelling cover for you to pull off, you know, your local book stand or when you look online at your magazine subscription, you think, oh, look at that, I'll have that, thank you very much. And the editor will like it because it's my picture that's made you buy it, and will send me a tap for my yacht. Absolutely fantastic. Or an old shoe, the way that finances are going right now. So as I said, yeah, 40 to 150, f4 1600. So standard stuff here, okay? So not very different. I tried to shoot a lot. I don't want to fiddle a lot in the field. I want to shoot the same stuff. Then this tiger sat down. It's like, oh my God, these tigers, they don't just sit there on grass. Well, this one did, and it sat down. It was absolutely beautiful. Slightly offset look over my shoulder. I like that because the direct look can be a little bit too aggressive. I've got plenty of those, but I chose a slightly offset one today. You can see here I've got the left-hand side of the frame as I look at it, slightly towards the back, and I've given a bit of space on the right. I've given it exactly the same space from the paw to the edge, the back to the edge there, but the head nicely in the middle. Sitting here, again, 40 to 150, exactly the same settings. If you don't use an Olympus, because I'm using f4, I'm getting the equivalent of about f7.1 to f8 depth of field. If you don't do that, you might want to be on f8 to get the same effect. Here, of course, you want to throw the background out a little bit, but not too much. I don't want it, those horrible pictures where you can't see anything, where it's completely isolated. That's not something I want. Now, I don't shoot with just one camera and 3 lenses or 4 lenses. I think it's a terrible way to shoot. So I shoot with one camera on one lens, one on another, as you see here. This is my typical go-to combination, although the wide angle does change 7-14 or 12-100. It swaps between those depending on what I'm doing, but that is my go-to combination. And the reason is I don't want to change lenses in the field, okay? You miss pictures when you change lenses. Tiger does an occasional thing of action, very occasional, like once in its life, where it does the, yoga pause or does the crow or something, all that kind of stuff, downward dog, all that stuff that kills my back. But it might do some action. And you've missed it because you're changing lenses, or you're fiddling, or you're thinking of changing lenses. And if you've got one camera and a load of lenses, you're thinking of changing all the time. You're also introducing dust. And dust on sensors in environments like this is not funny at all. Of course, I can now honestly say, hand on my heart. I don't know a song like that. Put your hand on your heart and tell me it's all over. I think that's the word. Kylie, they always got a bit of Kylie. What was I saying? Yeah, hand on heart. My Olympus has no dust spots in a year. I've not had a single dust spot on my camera in a year. How amazing is that? But if you have other brands, you may have. So you don't want to change these lenses as you want to change them as infrequently as you can. So having several cameras and several lenses allows you to do that. And I know it's an expenditure, but this is your main hobby that you have, hopefully, and that you want to spend some time and hopefully some money on. All right, so from here, so this is with the 40-150, same setting. Picking up my wide angle and shooting now with my wide angle, and he looks for it. It's around here, over there somewhere, on charge. You can see here, this was taken with the 7-14, and it's got a nicer feel now. The Tiger's looking straight at me because it's not as dominating because it's quite distant. And I'd stick this on my wall, wouldn't we, Sean? You saw Sean there, I haven't really mentioned him so far. He's quite silent today, he's sulking a bit because he's just hanging out. Anyway, so the wide angle I think is quite nice because it shows the habitat. I would have liked a few parrots flying across the top, but you can't get them these days, they didn't want to fly. But the misty conditions worked quite well. And I like the framing there in the bottom third, looking at me, giving some space to breathe. So that's, I took that one with a 40-150, that one with the wider angle, and then this one with a 300 with a 1.4. So that doubles it up, so that gives me about 800 and a bit, whatever. I can't be bothered to work it out. It's something like that. And there you can see the Tiger again is almost looking at me, but not quite. Now I've upped the depth of field here to, I've not upped the depth of field. Yes, I have. It was on 6.3. So that will give you about f11 and a bit, okay? Now, you don't have to worry about f11 and a bit having a lot of background because you're shooting with an 800mm lens. So you don't have to worry about there being background because there isn't any, even with the Olympus. Now, if you're not shooting with the Olympus, you might want to be on f11 here because if you've got a portrait, you've got to get everything sharp from the ears to the nose. Focus on the nose, the ears aren't sharp. Focus on the ears, the nose isn't sharp, okay? Focus on the bridge of the eyes, it's just about all right. I would focus just slightly down here, especially if you've got a big snozzer like me. I just kind of photograph focus just below the eyes with a fine focus point. Nice. I don't worry about the legs being cut off. If I put this in a competition, I'd get some judge saying, it's no good because the legs are cut off. And at that point, I would get a freshly caught mackerel and belt them round the face with it really as hard as with violence. Fresh mackerel with violence, or frozen one with it. The amount of damage you can do with a frozen mackerel. Amazing, they don't even have frozen mackerel kung fu. Well, they have, instead of the nunchuckers, they have a frozen mackerel everywhere. It's a brilliant weapon. And you could deny the weapon as well, because you can whack some with it and then frost it. And so how can I hit someone with a wet mackerel like this? Anyway, I digress. So don't worry about the rules that people make. You make your own rules, your own compositions that you like. So there you can see I used all three lenses there at once, didn't change them. They were all ready to go. No delay in getting those pictures. All right, so the Tiger decided to get up. Before it gets up, it yawns. It yawns 3 times. I know it yawns 3 times because I've watched them so many times. Yawn. Ugh. Now, a lot of people, they label this as a snarl. It's not a snarl, it's a yawn. A snarl is... I'm practicing for Zombieland 3. I'd like to be in Zombieland 3, actually, and get Zombie Kill of the Month. but I would like to be in that. So if you are a producer or director, I'm quite cheap and I don't eat a lot. Okay, so if you want to get me on that, it's not a snarl. Okay, it's a yawn. Okay, with the yawn, you got to make sure two things: fast enough shutter speed. Well, this was exactly the same, so 1600th of a second, and you got to make sure you don't focus when the mouth opens on the back of the mouth. Otherwise, you're focusing right back there, and all of this is out of focus, which is known in the trade as crap. So make sure you're focusing on the eyes or the nose or the bridge or somewhere when the head goes up. And you might also take the whole sequence and then you just pick the nicest one because you can get some funny expressions sometimes. And I just like this one, it's a bit simple. So he got up and he walked down to the water. Brilliant, look at that, paw just above the water, not touching it. I've told them often, you know, tigers, look, do me a favor, don't put your paw in the water because it ruins the reflection. They actually don't listen and don't care. You can see it's got nice connection apart from the paw, but the most important thing here is the reflection. Do not cut the reflection off because you're a Muppet. I used to be a reflection Muppet. I used to cut it off all the time, and on the back of my camera here, I had a label that said reflection U and a 6-letter word, and you can write to me and guess what that 6-letter word actually was. And it reminded me that I had to get the reflection. So I've stopped cutting the reflections off now, hopefully. Focus obviously on the eye of the tiger. It doesn't matter about depth of field, it's irrelevant. The one thing it does matter is when you post-process it, don't brighten the reflection. Reflection is always darker than the main subject. We tried to back off, we couldn't back off. So the tiger had to go through the water. There's too many people behind us. That's okay, it's a really nice expression. They don't like getting their towels wet, so he had his towel high. And for those of you that doubted my story that it was a male tiger, you need to use your eyes now because he's definitely a male. Nice expression anyway. Yeah, the reflection's a bit funky in the water, but I kind of like that. The light had gone, it had been strange yellow light on it, and it was beginning to set behind the hills, so it wasn't the best. So, but I kept the same in the water, 40 to 150 again, f4 at an 800th. So I kept the ISO quite high again, because again he could see he could meet a crocodile halfway across. He has a fight, you never know. He could try and jump and swat a butterfly in midair. You never know what they're going to do, right? Basically. So I like this picture, nice and wide. Here's my favourite picture from the afternoon. Look at that. So that's with the 7 to 14, f4.5 and again 1600-ish. The light had gone here, but look at that lovely framing of the tiger in the space there. It's got a nice composition with the water flowing away. It's got lovely trees in the corners. Joe Cornish, wonderful landscape photographer that he is, told me once, I used to call him 2 rocks in focus 5 miles apart, or Joe 2 Rocks for short. He always told me, be careful of the corners, okay? Always look and get something in the corners. So we've got out of focus bits in all the corners, and that grass there in the front is really important. A lot of people are just zooming into the water. I noticed with big lenses, it's a waste of time. Okay, it's a nice shot, tiger's head in the water, but this is the one that you're going to put on your wall because it's got some atmosphere and something special. So it does show that you don't always need a big lens to shoot tigers. Walked along, went behind the forest, we were in position again, we couldn't see it very clearly, and then he appeared between these 2 banyan trees. So I lined it up with the middle of the vehicle, I leant over, everyone leant over, and we shot through this gap here so that you can see the tiger in the gap of the banyan. And yeah, he's not looking at us, Jam, thanks mate, he's not looking at us at all, but it looks really cool still, and it shows a nice habitat shot. And again, this was low f4, something like that. You don't really need to worry about depth of field. You don't want those banyans in focus because they're just a frame, that's all they are. You need to keep them dark in the shot. Everyone went. We didn't have to go because we're going through the zone, so we had a special permit, so we could be a little bit later, like 10 minutes than everyone else, and it paid dividends because he came out again and sat. I got my 7 to 14, and I couldn't actually get the angle I wanted. I didn't want to stand up because he wouldn't like it very much. So what I did, imagine this is a wide angle because I wouldn't be doing this if it's not. I got my bendy screen like that, and I stood up, held it up, and I used my bendy screen, looking down into my bendy screen, composed it, and just shot the picture using the bendy screen. So, you know, having a flip out screen is so useful, it's great. And it got me this really nice picture in the habitat, and with a 7 to 14, you shoot at 5.6 and everything's in focus anyway. And to round it off, an Instagram style picture with the 300. This was 300 f8, it looks like, yeah, f8, a bit more because I was a bit closer, so I want to get everything in there from the nose to the ears. With, yeah, the background's in a bit, but I don't worry about that. He's not going to quite look at me, you know, he's kind of looking above me, but that's the best you're ever going to get from a tiger. It's a nice flat picture. It's kind of what Instagram like. It's what I don't like, but I just thought I'd round it off because it's a very nice picture of him. And it's probably the last picture I'm ever going to take of him. I should be there right now. I was going to have a field day with him, going to work with him every day and his brother. They're not going to be there when we go back next season because their father, who's a big brutish male, is going to drive them off of that territory. He's allowed them to stay, but he's going to drive them off. They're going to go into the non-tourism zone. Most of Ranthambhore is non-tourism, or into the hinterlands or wherever they go to find their life as a male tiger. And they're going to have to find a territory of their own and hold it against bigger male tigers. It's why when they get to 4, 5, it's a very dangerous time and many of them die. But the ones that don't, they then stay in their territories until they die. And I'm hoping, just hoping, that one day I get to see him again and he will appear back, because it would be magnificent. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed that story. As always, let me know below if you enjoyed what you heard, you learned some stuff from it, and anything you'd like me to cover in detail on another show. All right. On to the next bit. Well, wasn't that fun? And I'm sure you had breakfast, lunch and dinner and a few cups of coffee and tea while you were waiting for that, even a vodka or two. I haven't got time for much else this week because we're not sure how long to run these for, but I'm going to set you a sunset challenge. I want you to take a nice picture from your garden or where it's safe to do so, maybe when you're out on your walk or whatever, on your way back from work, of something within 15 minutes of sunset, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after. It could be a beautiful silhouette, it could be a bird, it could be an animal, it could be a landscape. Like this I did last night. I did a dandelion in the garden against the sunset, against the setting sun. Wow, look at that. I mean, unusual that I actually do any kind of macro, but beauty is all around us. And this is going to be a bit of fun. So if you send me them to the email address that's in the description below, hopefully we can put some of them together and put them in either the next show or the show after. Let me know if you want me to do a critique of them as well. All that remains to be said is I hope that you enjoyed Wide Angle episode 5. I really hope that you do. Please look after yourselves. Please be safe. Please keep in isolation, because I keep saying lives depend on it. Everyone knows that. But we will get through this and good times will come back again. And hopefully you'll get out with your camera and do all the things that you want to do sometime before the summer ends. All right, see you next time.